What we see in the traditional gasoline motorcycle market is we see these 450 bikes that our heroes are riding, that the professionals are riding, and those are the same bikes that are in the dealership, that the dealership is pushing to less experienced riders. While we all want to ride the same bike as Jeremy McGrath and these other heroes that we grew up looking at, those are not necessarily a good fit for riders like us. Between the seat height, the power, the weight, the torque characteristics, but also the maintenance, we realized we really could rethink the way we design a bike. While we've designed the bike to be a great bike for beginners and intermediate riders, we still are offering really, really high power. The power on this bike is 18 to 20 kilowatts of power, but with a weight of just 50 kg, that gives the equivalent performance of about a 300cc motocross bike. As we design a vehicle like the EO12 or any of the vehicles in the Graft lineup, there's really two things that we have to keep in mind. One is the user experience, one is the technology. We really need to think about the user experience. How is the user going to ride these vehicles? How are they going to drive these vehicles? Where will they be? What kind of environmental conditions are they going to face? And what's going to be kind of the length of the ride or the type of ride or the speed they're going to be riding? When it comes to the kind of comparison of what I call pros versus Joes, the main way you can tell a pro is they don't have a day job. Motorcycling or motocross or enduro riding is their job. And what that means is that your focus is completely different. Your focus in that case as a pro is going to be on nutrition, strength, you're doing weight training, and you're riding every single day or every other day if you can. But the vast majority of people who ride off-road bikes have a day job. They need to be at work on Monday morning. They don't have time for training 5 days or 6 days a week, and injuries are going to eliminate their ability to take part in the sport they love. And so what we were able to do is really design the bike for the Joes, people who have a day job but love to get out on the weekends and ride, and want to ride really hard, but they need to be back in the office on Monday. We see a lot of bikes on the market, particularly in the electric market, where the bikes are very small, cramped ergonomics, and take a huge amount of modifications just to have a bike that will live on a typical trail ride, not to mention an amateur race. We designed our bikes from a higher level so that you can enter this bike in an amateur race and it'll live years and years with heavy use on the trail. Our bikes, particularly the EO12, our ATV, and our upcoming buggy, is not a vehicle that we quickly grow out of. So we design the vehicles in a way that they can work well for the beginner, but at the same time, this EO12 would be perfectly capable for an amateur level race. So as we developed the Graft EO12, one of the things we wanted to do is we decided to just kind of start with a clean sheet design and not say we want to copy KTM and Honda and Yamaha and Kawasaki when it came to building a motorcycle. We looked at their enduro and their motocross bikes, and one of the things we found is that with the really high seat height, that the vehicles really had amazing capability, but oftentimes didn't give the user the confidence to use all of that capability. Particularly as the terrain got more and more tricky, that really high seat height tends to be a big knock to your confidence, because you're not going to be able to get a foot down on tricky terrain. In addition, our bike has a lower seat height, which means the rider is going to be very confident, even on very tricky terrain, that they can always manage the bike, and the kind of tip over falls you see of typical guys riding enduro bikes, that's eliminated with our design. So what we were able to do is offer a full-size motorcycle seat, allows you to move your body to tackle some of the trickiest terrains, whether it's really steep uphill, steep downhill, full-size motorcycle handlebars, and oversized brakes to give you that control and confidence when you're riding on the difficult terrain. The other part we saw was weight. With the weight of a typical enduro motocross bike, we find that the weight is so high that it quickly tires riders out on tricky terrain. So with the EO12, we came with a different approach. Knowing that we were doing an electric bike and that the power characteristics would be very different, but also that we had a little bit of a limitation on riding range due to the battery, we thought, how do we build the best possible electric off-road bike? And the key was not to copy the gasoline bikes. What we did is we started with an ultralight target weight of just 50 kg. That 50 kg means that less experienced riders can ride in a more dynamic way because they can use less energy to move the bike around and to get over obstacles. And so by lowering the weight down to just 50 kg, that means these riders are able to manipulate and handle the bike much easier. We also are preventing the injuries that you see on some of the heavier bikes, particularly if you ride off a difficult obstacle and the bike falls on you. With 50 kg, you can lift that bike off with one hand. One of the first unusual things people typically notice is the wheel size. We have 21-inch wheels front and a 21-inch rear tire. We're the only company in the market to offer a 21-inch rear tire. What that gives us is that gives us very low rolling resistance to make the best of our battery range, while at the same time our ultralight weight of just 50 kg means we have amazing hill climb traction. And that hill climb traction normally wouldn't be possible, but because we have a very smooth power delivery with the electric drivetrain, that means we have more than enough traction with a relatively narrow tire. Using a more narrow tire than we would see on the typical 18-inch very wide tire means we're able to save more weight on the vehicle, which again pays off in riding range. The next thing we did is we offer very high torque of over 400 Newton meters on the rear wheel. That means hill starts are no longer an issue. You don't need to play with the clutch, but you still have tremendous torque for hill climbing. And with our 3-mode switch, you also have the ability to reduce the torque when necessary. The last thing we saw is as the performance of traditional gasoline and enduro bikes climbs, the maintenance needs climb very high. With typical off-road gasoline bikes, you're looking at around 1 hour of maintenance per ride, whether that's lubricating chains, cleaning air filters, draining fuel, changing oil. 1 hour per ride, that oftentimes can be the same length as a ride if you're doing a ride during the weekday. So with our fully electric, we're able to reduce that maintenance time virtually down to zero, which allows the customers really to concentrate on riding and not have the motorcycle take over so much of your lifestyle.
It sound right, boy.